Hey, what's up, guys? We're back with another 0 Hour. Tim Lloyd, Jeff Hobbs. It is our recap and reactions episode. We're coming off the heels Chattanooga Fight Night at a Camp Jordan Arena this past Saturday night. Partnered up with Conflict, MMA, NFC, our good pals, and I had a fun night of fights, Jeff. It was had 3 championship fights, a lot of early, quick finishes early. Kind of had us worried we were going to be over really quick, and then the main card kind of settled in, got some 5 round wars out of it, and ended up being a lot of fun. We're going to go over all that here in just a moment. First, I want to give a shout out to Smoky Mountain CBD, our presenting sponsor here, 0 Hour. Check them out at SmokyMountainCBD.com. Appreciate them. They hook us up with great goodie bags for our VIP tables. Delta 8, Delta 9. It's all legal. It's all good. Keep you low stress and enjoying your evening. So next time you come out to the fights, get you a VIP table. Check out some of their swag. Really good stuff. Jeff, fun night we had in Chattanooga. It was one of those cards where we had some changes late, a little bit of shifting, some guys pulling out late, but all in all, we pulled it together.
Yeah, it's one of those fights too. A really good card. Not as much, kind of that local, draw, as we're used
Mm-hmm.
to. But really solid fights and solid fighters from a lot of surrounding areas. We did have a Gogi on the card, and Militia, came in strong. But a lot of outliner areas and gyms that were part of some really big fights for us. So while maybe some of those gyms didn't bring a big crowd, they definitely brought the action and made it a very fun and exciting card for the local crowd. And the good thing is the local market then got to be introduced and meet a lot of those fighters from the other areas that maybe they didn't know. And guarantee you, by some of their performances, if they're ever on a Chattanooga card in the future, the locals will remember those performances and those names. And, I guarantee you some of them have gained a little following now in the Chattanooga area.
Really nice performances. We'll get into it here in just a moment. First, need you guys to do us a favor. Give us a like here. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. You get notified every time we put new content up. We've already started putting up Aries 12 bouts here. We're going to do that all this week, and then here in a couple weeks you'll get to see this Chattanooga Fight Night action as we post it up to YouTube. Also, you follow us on social media: Facebook, the Aries Fight Series, and also on Instagram. Aries Fight Series. So make sure you give us a follow. Keep up what we got going on. Let's get into it. Prelims, we had one kickboxing bout on this one, and it was a late change. Originally supposed to be Broderick Kelsey from Militia MMA taking on Curly Sparks at a Striker Fight Center. Curly Sparks with a no-show, man. He ditched everyone. It was wild. The teammates on the card, they had all been in touch with him until the last moment, and then he blocked everybody on social media and did. So we got on the scramble, and Billy Burris of Hobbs Jackson Wink steps in on short notice to take this fight. Props to him for stepping up. Props to Broderick for rolling with the punches because Billy was walking in at about 185 pounds. So giving up some weight there was Broderick Kelsey. Obviously, we didn't expect Billy to cut weight on taking it that day. But Broderick Kelsey gets the unanimous decision, 30-27 across the board. I had to step out, so I didn't get to see this fight live. I get to watch it back on the replay, though, and it was good. I thought it was closer than 30-27 would indicate. I actually gave Burris the second round personally, but 2-1 I had it. Your take?
Yeah, it's one of those fights again. The scorecards do not indicate what a really good fight it was, and highly competitive. I did get to, I had a lot of things going on there at the beginning of the show, but I was
Mm-hmm.
cage side, and I kept catching myself looking back at the cage because I was just noticing out of my peripherals, like these dudes are throwing down, like they were going at it. So I would stop what I'm doing and like give it the attention that it solely deserved. And I remember you came back and asked, how did that first one go? And I was like, holy shit, like those dudes threw down, man. Like that, it was a really nice opening for our show. Um, like you said, a lot of confusion there in the 24 hours leading up to it, even to the point where I was refunding Broderick Kelsey tickets, because I was telling people the fight was off, and then we had to go back and be like, no, no, hold on, buy another one. He's back on again. So it was a really good way to start the show.
And I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming coming out of militia MMA there, Broderick will eventually maybe transition over to MMA. Great guy to work with. And it sounded like he had a pretty good little fan base there too, from what I heard. So let's see, moving on, we'll knock out these three together here. We've got, rounding out the prelims, had three combat BJJ matches. Originally were to be two of those, but had another pullout. We'll get to that in a moment. It was opened up heavyweights. Donnie Castile out of Agogi gets the verbal submission to strikes. First time we've had that over Robert Davis about a minute 5 seconds in. Donnie, he's a hoss. I'm really hoping he gets into MMA. And then we had featherweights. 145 pounds. This is a fast one. Had this been MMA, it would have been a record. Lyndon Gateline out of Agogi gets the keeps the Agogi ball rolling as he gets a 9-second heel hook in the first round over SBG Buford's Nick Thomas. And then rounding out the prelims, it was Brivin Sullivan of Agogi getting an armbar win over Daniel Gonzalez of High Stand. 5 minutes, 34 seconds in. Originally, Daniel Gonzalez scheduled to fight MMA against Chris Barnes. Chris Barnes pulled out the day before with alleged COVID, and so Brivin stepped in on short notice. You know, he's due to fight here next weekend against Michael Cribb, and Brivin looked great out there, man. The book on him is, he's a striker. That's what he prides himself on being. But man, yeah, he really was fairly dominant out there over Daniel Gonzalez, who is the more decorated grappler.
Yeah, looking at these three fights, three things that stood out to me, just kind of sum up this little section here. One, Donnie Castile's stature, physically, Donnie
Yeah, he's a
Castile
beast.
was impressive. Body wise, I mean, he was kind of in that. If Josh Maynard and Finn Martin uh, had a baby, it would have been Donnie Castile. Um, he's just a big, menacing guy. And Lyndon Gateline's, just you couldn't blink. Obviously,
No, it's
nine
fast.
seconds, you could
Mm-hmm.
not blink. So that was so impressive. But as far as these three bouts go, what stood out the most was Sullivan's aggression to me. Last time we saw him in an Aries cage in a tag team grappling match was just a little way too passive for my liking. Set back, really didn't look like he cared to engage, and so it was kind of disappointing from a performance standpoint. And he comes back this time against a hell of a competitor and Daniel Gonzalez, and it was just pure go and aggression. He's getting really thick too. I don't know if how that's going to translate later on. It looks like he's trying to put on some size, but again, Briffin's not a huge guy, so for MMA purposes, that may not be the best idea, is to keep getting bigger and possibly having to go up in weight classes. I really liked him at 35, but the kid's still young and he's growing, and he's putting on size. But it definitely served him well in this jiu-jitsu match because he looked really strong, really thick, and like you said, Tim, actually pretty damn impressive with his jiu-jitsu in this one.
Moving on to the undercard MMA from here on out, we had a couple debuting middleweights. It was LeVar Bibbs making his debut, and also the team debut with us. Arsenal Combat Sports out of Huntsville, Alabama, gets the win over Team Phoenix's Cortez Wilson. Round two armbar, minute 21 in. Man, Bibbs is very impressed. Both these guys, look great, but Bibbs is really good. And Young Buck, I think he's only 22. We talked about how that middleweight division always can use some new talent. And so LeVar Bibbs with a really nice debut, already kind of in talks about working something out for him in December.
Yeah, man. Fight was over. Coach immediately came to you and said, "That's how we roll. That's how we
Yeah.
do it." And how do you argue after that performance? Really impressive. Aries debut uh, for Bibbs, and like you said, I would really love to see him with a quick turnaround in December. I think there's a good matchup or two waiting for him in Nashville should he, choose to turn it around and accept. A lot of potential here with this guy, and and that being said, too, um, Cortez, is no slouch. I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited to hopefully see him back in there too. I just think this is that situation where you got in there with the buzzsaw, man, and it just is what it is. And um, definitely excited for what. Again, we've talked about this as a division at 185 pounds. We are. Uh, the the openings are there. We're accepting
Mhm.
applications for all
Yeah.
185ers,
Yeah.
so the more the merrier in this division.
Another impressive debut up next, flyweight bout, another division where we can use all the depth we can get. Maverick Cooper makes his debut in very impressive factor and fashion with a representing Striker Fight Center gets an 18-second knockout over Trinity Swint, who came in with 6 fights experience already out of a team that had been looking pretty good in team ground and pound. And I mean, just right out of the gates, Cooper with a big shot to the face. I couldn't tell at the time, maybe he broke his nose or something because Swint really like reacted in a like he was hurt, and then poured on the punishment. Man, Chris Bond saw enough, stepped in. 18 seconds later, Swint wasn't real happy with the stoppage. I was okay with it because it did appear to me visually that like he was hurt. So really nice showing from Maverick Cooper. He kind of was giving me grief after he didn't get one of those performance of the nights award. I told him I'm sure there were several in his future.
Yeah, I was okay with the stoppage too, and my reasoning probably arguably probably some people would think shouldn't factor in, but the day before, Swint had he had a really tough weight cut, and it was a situation where he did come just a hair, a little over the weight class, and it was a decision that both teams got together and decided that to ask him to take his hour to try to cut would be detrimental to his health. He did not look like it was a good weight cut. And so, obviously he looked better on fight day, being able
Mhm.
to rehydrate. But I had to wonder if, the weight cut took its toll on him. He was looking bad on the scale, and we kind of stepped in as a promotion and said, it's in our opinion, and I think everyone's best interest if we do not ask him to use his hour to cut anymore and just kind of leave him be. And maybe that had a little bit to do on his performance um, Saturday night. But that being said, you don't want to take anything away from Maverick, because Maverick was on a mission from the moment he walked in the door. He continuously just kept, I've got a lot of people coming. I'm fighting and I'm putting on a show, and he was not going to be denied.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun fights there. Right off the top of my head, we've already got Bryce Warner and another one coming up. Him and Bryce, I think, from a striking perspective, would be a lot of fun. A lot of fun
Yeah.
matchups at 125 for him. And again, Swint, you could tell he put in the effort on the weight cut. It wasn't like he came in, he strolled in, and he's like, oh, he's
No,
heavy, and he tried. You could tell he tried. So, and it wasn't a grotesque miss by any means.
no,
So
no,
I'm sure
no,
we'll see
no.
him back. Up next, another very anticipated debut. This one in the heavyweight division. Luke Wilson, old referee Luke Wilson, makes his debut in MMA representing Agogi. He sets an Aries record that we didn't give him credit for at the time because I didn't realize it. But looking back at it, congratulations, Luke. You now have an Aries record. You just broke Frankie Gallardo's record that was just set the show before, just a couple weeks earlier, as he gets a submission in the first round via guillotine 23 seconds in over Mushindo's debuting Christian Mazariego, who did have some Muay Thai experience. But nice win for Luke. Got to experience the thrill of getting out there with his team, and obviously happy for him getting that win.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a little tense in the gym this week between Luke and Frankie. Stole his stole his record, man. So maybe they'll sort that out this week. But yeah, it was a really good moment for Luke. We come upon fighters, as recently as Trevor Peak, who have some unique stories, in their past, and situations and that made these people who they are today. And Luke's one of those people who has one and not afraid to tell his story. So he's done a big life change. Um, and one of those motivations for that life change is his family. And
Mhm.
you know, everyone's supposed to love their wife, but you want to talk about someone who loves their family, and I think it's for different reasons than the rest of us do, because I think his family has a lot to do with his just change in life right now. Obviously, his religion as well. So it was really cool, obviously, to see him go in, compete, get his win, get to be true, competing teammate with the rest of the guys from his gym. But I think a lot of that celebration and victory was more of a life victory and a win for his family and in his pursuit of change. And so that was really just a cool moment to be a part of, and one of those where we're outside the cage telling the wife and family, get in there, go celebrate with go
Yeah.
celebrate with them, because it was well deserved. Don't know how much more of it Luke wants to do. I don't know. We never really talked. Is this just bucket list, and now it's out of the way, and you're going to put the stripes back on, and and be the third man in the cage, um, you know, or you got one more in you. He took this at heavyweight because of the dropouts, and may have liked to compete, at a more natural weight class for him, and so maybe that's something he's wanting to see. I don't know, but congratulations to him, and shout outs to Mazarigo for again stepping in on short notice, making it there, traveling where obviously we've already discussed. Some people fell short of showing up and doing what they're supposed to. So shout out to Mazarigo for following through with his commitments.
Rounding out the undercard, welterweight action. Originally supposed to be a title fight here. Ronald Humphrey taking on Richard Guerrero was where we were aiming to be. Richard pulled on Monday, so we had Matt Campbell step in on short notice. Matt Campbell was supposed to fight Skylar King, who had an injury about 2 weeks ago. So we had the ability to put these guys together on short notice. And man, I tell you what, Ronald Humphrey probably just the most memorable head turning performance of the night. I think he really put some guys on notice, to say the least. Ronald Humphrey coming in at 2-0 out of American Top Team Atlanta, now 3-0, of course, with a 51-second TKO over the previously undefeated Matt Campbell, who was 1-0 coming in from Arsenal Combat. And this was Campbell never had an opportunity to even really just get in any sort of comfortable groove or any. Yeah, I mean, it was just a whirlwind of 51 seconds. I'll say that. It seemed like a lot was going on in that 51 seconds. Nearly had a pile driver. Ron Humphrey is a specimen. He's a next level talent. It's going to be hard to match him. Whoever wants that 170 title is going to have to go through him. You come to me asking for a belt at 170, then Ron Humphrey's your guy. A beast, a guy that's going to give people problems, and it's very impressive. Very soft spoken too. I mean, he's a very mild mannered fella, but when the bell rings in there, he's all action.
Yeah. Fights fall out. Obviously, it's something every promoter deals with. You try not to be too salty about it, but man, we rolled with the punches when Richard had to pull out of the fight, but it made me more mad after the fight when you thought about what could have been. That would have been, oh man, that would have been fire.
Yeah.
And so it just made me mad after the fact. Like, holy shit, what we almost had, here as another title fight on this card. It's supposed to be the fourth title fight on the card. But like you said, it's a weird situation how someone raises their stock and probably also hurts their future at the same time, because he just made it more difficult for a lot of matchmakers out there that may be thinking about putting him on the card to try to find him an opponent. If they're going to do it, they better do it. What time? When do we get to post these? On the 14th?
Yeah.
They better do
Once
it.
that thing posts,
They better do it within the next 13 days. There's going to be, some video out there that's going to hurt your efforts in matching him. But yeah, what do you say, man? Like I said, it was an impressive performance. It's unfortunate, but I see Ronald Humphrey now being that. Don't take it the wrong way, but he will be the B side because he's going to have to be brought in, out of town, because I just don't see anybody locally in our area that has seen this. He's got to hope that someone brings him in as the B side to their hometown favorite, and then he can just go beat up everybody else's guys, and piss everybody else off in other cities.
Yeah, man. It's going to be hard to get hometown guys to want to step to that action, man. It's going to be hard to look good at home in front of that guy.
Absolutely. And that's where he's going to upset the apple cart, because they're going to bring him in to lose to the hometown guy who might have more fights, might have more experience. And then he's going to end up upsetting a lot of people, a lot of hometown fans when he comes in there and performs like he did for us.
Moving on to the main card, 205 pounds, light heavyweight action. It was Malik Jackson out of American Top Team. I got to say before, that was our first performance of the night, Ronald Humphrey there. Malik Jackson makes it two in a row for ATT as he picks up another performance of the night, knocking off the previously undefeated Josh Mackey out of Militia MMA, who was moving down to light heavyweight for the first time. Malik is now 2-0 himself, and he gets a round two submission by rear naked choke, 2 minutes and 8 seconds in. Really good fight. This one was a lot of fun. We mentioned it's very similar to Malik's last time out, where he had a bit of a tough first round, and he stuck to his guns and got him out of there in the second. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. Mackey's a lot of fun to work with. He had a really good first round, getting the back of Malik, and holding it for the whole round, which is a little surprising, but. Malik landed a pretty nice shot in the second round to kind of turn the tables, and then he was able to get his way on the ground.
Yeah, it was back and forth. There was one time during the match when I really thought that it was over and Mackey was going to, be victorious and continue not only his own undefeated streak but the militia undefeated streak. I thought he had Malik's back, and it looked like he was fixing to end this thing right there at the end of the first round. So it was really a back and forth battle. Um, it's a when you not only beat Judge Mackey but finish him, it's a good win. It's a good win on your resume. Um, Shout out to Josh Mackey, though. People sometimes get that first L on their records, and they start rethinking things, or you see a long layoff and things like that. It doesn't sound to me like Josh Mackey's letting a loss. He don't like that taste in his mouth. He's already reached out and said, "Give me something. I want a quick turnaround. I want to fight again before the end of the year." And that's a competitor, man. That's somebody you like doing business with. Not only is he easy to do business with, but somebody that is quick to want to turn around and redeem their performance is such an asset to the promotion. But yeah, like you said, performance of the nights. There's two of them every show, and ATT Atlanta on back-to-back fights brought the thunder and the lightning with Ronald Humphrey and Malik Jackson, and took home two nice little plaques for performance of the nights awards back to back.
Three title fights round out our card. First of which, we crown our first ever flyweight champion at 125 pounds. Vicious Vincent Van Alstyne, your new Aries flyweight champion, moves to 4-0 out of Hobbs Jackson Wink in Concord, North Carolina. Knocks off Mario Umana, who drops to 1-1 at a Striker Fight Center. Hell of a fight, man. This ended up getting our Fight of the Night award, actually. Very much closer, my opinion, than what the scorecard said. It's unanimous decision, 50-45 on one card, so 5-0 on one card, and then two cards had it 49-46, a 4-1 on the other two cards. I had it 3-2. I could see the 4-1 after watching it back, but I had it 3-2 Van Alstyne. That fourth round being the one that was probably arguable just because it was kind of a tale of two rounds there. But really, really good performance from Van Alstyne. Mario, it took him a round to get settled in, I thought. His first round, he seemed very tight and very the moment was big for him, but credit to his corner. Frank and the guys in the corner, they really made some nice adjustments on the striking, and coming out in the second round and forward, he was doing everything much better. Both guys landing big kicks. It was just a great fight. Both guys had a lot of really good moments. And Van Alstyne, it appeared to start to slow towards the end, but then in the fifth round, he found that last gear he needed to finish off strong.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had it 3-2. It was arguable in some of these areas, and we even discussed it at Cage Side, where you're looking at it, we're telling each other how we would judge this, but you also have to take into consideration sometimes, well, not how we would judge it, how do we
Right.
think the current judges are judging it, and how are they weighing things. This was definitely, I think there were rounds that were no question. Round one I think was no question too. I had 3 and 4 for Umana, but I think a lot of what was in question is just how you weigh things. Um, there were a lot of times, especially the third and fourth, where Vincent would get the takedown, But to me, there was not a lot of action going on the ground. He wasn't really trying to advance, and he wasn't doing any damage. Fourth round, especially, it was like you said, the tale of two rounds, and I just felt personally that the knees from Mario Umana in round four were the most damaging, maybe even arguably total blows of the
Mhm.
night from either one, as far as just how clean they were getting through and the consistency they were, making contact and getting through and hitting, and the damage that they were causing. I dare say there was a time or two during that fourth round. You could maybe argue that Van Alstine was dropping to take a shot, or
Mhm.
did the knee drop him? And
Probably
while he was down there, he went ahead and tried for the shot and get the
hurt.
double leg. Um, so I personally felt 3 and 4 were were in Umana's favor. Like I said, judges didn't necessarily see it that way. So it sounds like everybody was at least on an agreement that round three was Umana's. Um, eh, it's just one of those situations. The kid was, only 1-0. This division is not real deep, and Van Alstine has been waiting for a title shot, and Umana was somebody we had worked with that looked really good in his debut, and he, he wanted this title shot, and we granted it. Some would question, was he ready? I'll be honest with you. I even questioned, is this too much too soon? Is he ready at only 1-0? I think he proved to everybody that he belonged in that
Mhm.
fight. I don't care what the judge's scorecard says. It was fight of the night for a reason. Um, because if you were viewing it the way I did in rounds 3 and 4, you really thought round five was the
Mhm.
clincher. That and I would say a lot of the fans that were in attendance probably felt that way. Also, I don't think anybody, even Umana, did not question the decision at all. In fact, I love that kid for the fact that he grabbed the belt out of your hands
Yeah.
at the end of the fight, and he said, "No, you let me put that around his
Yeah.
waist." Um, great kid, great crowd, great support system, and Vincent Van Alstine, a great champion, a good champion
Yeah.
that you're proud to have on here. It comes from a really good family, supportive family, supports our promotion, and
Mhm.
couldn't be happier because again, he's a champion that has earned it. He,
Yeah.
this was his fourth, his fourth amateur fight, and he's been with us quite a long time, and you can tell that it means something to him, and that's what you want as a promoter. Not that someone is just out collecting amateur belts just to have trinkets to hang on the wall of their gym. You can tell it actually means something to him, and I think he's going to be one that is anxious to get back and defend it and show that it is truly his.
Yeah, yeah. Congrats to you, Vincent. Very, very deserving champion. Proud to have you wearing that strap, my man. Talked to him after. He's looking to do a title defense and then looking to go pro. So, that's what the future holds there. I'm sure we'll see Mario back, and there's lots of good fights for him out there too. Moving on to our second title fight, it was the co-main event, middleweight title on the line. Defending champion Josh Booker came in at 3-0, representing Agogi, taking on Anton Brown, 1-1 out of ATT Atlanta, who was coming in hot here, 2 for 2 at the moment. And Josh Booker gets this one 50-45 across the board. And it was so 5-0 there on the judges' scorecards. Another fight where it was, yeah, I think you knew that Josh was going to get the decision at the end, but it was just Anton was so dangerous every round because he's so unorthodox. He's so hard to corral that, Josh was getting his takedowns, but then, Anton hit that Kimura sweep at least 2 times that I can remember and managed to reverse position. So it was one of those fights where you kind of knew that the scorecards were going to go his way, but once it was over, but getting there was not easy by any means. I will say Booker showed some improved cardio in this one. Didn't slow down as he did in the Terrell fight, or nearly as much anyway. It's probably had a lot to do with the fact that Terrell was wrestling him back, which is exhausting. Anton wanted to strike. But yeah, good win for Josh Booker, moves to 4-0. And Anton Brown is going to be a handful. He's going to be a deceptive 1-2.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I always felt comfortable with how I felt the fight was going. The question at hand was, is Josh Booker going to hit that wall like he did in Nashville against Aaron Terrell? Looked really good and dominant in the first round. Could argue 10-8, but then that wall hit, and he allowed Aaron Terrell to get back in it, and the cardio just the exhaustion and the cardio, it didn't look good in his last bout. So I kept watching this fight, and that was the question that needed to be answered to me was, are we going to see that again? and he definitely answered those questions. You could tell, like you said, a lot of that had to do with the type of opponent and the skill set of the past opponent, but that's not just it too. You can tell he worked, in the lead up to this, to make sure that that didn't happen again either. Worked on his cardio, I'm sure, and gotten a lot better fight shape, um, to be ready for that type of fight should it arise again. So. Um, every time I thought, okay, is this going to be it? Are we going to see that happen? He answered the questions and did not let it happen. And he kept his foot on the gas the whole time. He didn't let up and kind of sit back and see what came to him. Um, there was only one time in this fight where he took that really bad shot. And I remember turning to you and going, this is what happened in the last fight where it all started going downhill
Mm.
when he started taking that bad shot and you were afraid that, this may be the start of that again. And it was. And it was just simply just one bad shot because it didn't happen again.
Yeah.
So, again, just like you said, uh, you know, um, Anton is going to be a deceptive, 1-2 with his record. I still think Booker is deceptive too, even with his record. And I just mean deceptive as in there's nothing necessarily flashy about him. And I think he's going to have a video library, if you will, that some fighters are going to watch
Mm.
and think that they can take them, and they think that that it's going to be easier than what it really is, because it's not anything just too flashy. He's not a loud, boisterous person who talks a
No.
lot. Um, he to me is just blue collar at its finest, where he's just going to bring his lunchbox and his lunch pail and just blue collar at work hard to earn every victory he gets. So I think he's going to be deceptive in the fact that, um, people will still think I can figure him out. I'll be able to get him, or I'll be able to push his cardio past where he can go, or I'll be able to keep a pace that he won't be able to keep up with. And unfortunately, those people, up to this point, are finding out that it's easier said than done with Josh Booker. So, um, still think there's a lot of good fights out there for him. I know
There are, yeah.
he's getting to that part in his record where unfortunately a lot of guys see themselves going pro right then and there. But I hope he sticks around because there's still, I think, some good fights out there that can test him and actually make him better by participating in.
Zane Havener strikes me as the fight that I want to see next. Him or Jacob Adams, which we've talked about, in the past. But those are
Yes.
two really good ones that are still out there that kind of, see, give me some other looks. So still some exciting ones out there. Moving on to the main event. This is for the lightweight championship. Defending champion Carrington Johnson, 3-1 out of Striker Fight Center. Looks to close out the night for that group on a high note as he defended against George Carpenter, 2-0 out of Militia MMA. And, Carrington started the fight off fighting a really good game plan. The first half of the round, he did everything right. He was moving really good. He had a couple of nice sprawls where, George wasn't able to get the takedown as easily as he had gotten it in his previous couple fights. But once George was able to finally get his hands on him, he got the takedown, he got his back. There was a bit of a struggle there for, maybe half a minute or so until George able to sink in a rear naked choke, get the submission 2 minutes, 5 seconds into the first round. And he is the new Aries lightweight champion at 155 pounds. Another very easy guy to work with, very respectful, always pleasant. And, man, he's a hoss. It's going to be a challenge. He's another guy that's, I don't want to say it's like Humphrey so much, because their styles are very different, but he's not going to be super easy to match because when you guys do their homework on him, you see I don't think I can recall a bigger 155-pound amateur top of my head, and then the wrestling chops to boot. I think there's still some questions to be asked about his striking. If we can find someone that can actually neutralize those takedowns for any length of time, but he hasn't really had to show too much of it. We got to see a little bit this time for the first minute or so of the fight, but it just to be able to keep that guy off of you for 5 rounds is going to be difficult.
Here, body type wise, he reminds me of Scott Holtzman as an amateur. The way he's built and his shape, and I remember just always thinking that Scott, as an amateur at 155, was just a hoss. Taken
Mm-hmm.
just well put together. He reminds me a lot of old hot sauce. As an amateur. Um, but like you said, he's young. He's kind of just that uber prospect kind of kid right now. So I think we can, still get some people on the hook, interested in fighting because he is fresh, and they'll think that they'll be able to out chess match him, maybe possibly. But this was an impressive win for the kid. Carrington obviously is no slouch. You look at his resume and the people he's fought, the people he's beat. Leading up to his title victory. It's real impressive. And so, like we always refer to Highlander, you beat somebody, you take the heads and souls of the
Mm-hmm.
people they beat. So it's a really good resume to steal, basically, and put in your pocket at such an early point in an amateur career. The kid's got a bright future for sure. Easy to work with, marketable, got the look, and he backs it up. He's got a really good fan base too. Um, I'll be interested to see if the fan base travels, because I think, there's some
Mm-hmm.
other areas of town, taking him to Knoxville, taking him to Nashville, possibly opening up some other opportunities for different opponents that in those areas who don't necessarily travel. I just from the scientific experiment part of
Yeah.
it, I'd like to bring them in as the B side, as the out of towner to a couple of the other areas and parts of the state that we book for and match for, just to see how he handles that
Mm-hmm.
type of situation. Um, and so I think that would be a really cool experiment to try if possible. But right now he's the champ, and he holds he holds the purse, if so to speak, right now. So um, we'll see if that can happen. But man, and on the flip side, Carrington, man, I hope he gets back soon. I think there's still so many good matchups out there for him that could get him right back into that title picture, should he want to, start working his way back to that again, and maybe getting that rematch. I know he wasn't happy with his performance. Carrington is usually a guy that's his game plan to get his opponent down and outwork him, and just kind of got done to him to this time. And I'm sure he would like to, now knowing what he didn't know then, kind of approach the fight maybe differently the second time around. So I hope that he does that. But um, man, what do you say? You ended the fight with three really good championship title fights. The third and final one, the main event, didn't go as long as the other two, but it wasn't because it lacked anything at all. It was because of an impressive performance by the guy who walked away with the belt in beating a very nice champion in Carrington Johnson. So it was a hell of a way to end a show, and it definitely, these last three fights, where the earlier fights maybe lacked in length, these three at the end um, more than made up in quality of fight for the fans.
And that is our recap, folks. That's Chattanooga Fight Night in the books. Got I guess we have two new champions and one still champion, and Josh Booker. Congrats to everybody that competed, win or lose. Appreciate you guys putting it all on the line for the fans and seeing your commitments through. As always, appreciate it. Man, I guess that'll wrap us up for this one, guys. We've got Gamma Worlds for the youth coming up this weekend. That's on Spectation Sports. We'll be out there checking that out. And then, of course, next week is Aries 13. Lost our main event for that one just yesterday. Bryce Meredith pulled out over with David Lewis. So still a really strong card. We still got 5 pro fights on that one. Some really highly anticipated pro debuts. We're going to talk to both Nick Campbell and Chance Gilbride tomorrow. So make sure you watch out for those interviews. Chance is always character, so that'll be fun. And otherwise, I guess we will see you guys next time. Do you have any parting words here before we sign off?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just close by making sure we take the moment to thank Conflict MMA and
Yeah.
NFC for allowing us to be a part of this idea of three promotions coming together in 2022, working together, sharing ideas, bouncing things off of each other, giving us all opportunities to get out of town and enjoying other shows. Because ultimately, that's what this, sport is about. So if the sport is about, class and um, learning and sharing and building, then why can't promotions be the same way? And so, all three promotions were able to show in this past year that it is possible. And so we definitely appreciate those other two promotions, Jared Williams, Dave Oblis, and his whole crew, allowing us to be part of that. And thank you guys for coming to Chattanooga. Um, we obviously, without professionals on our end of it, it was a different show than what you guys did on yours. But we definitely enjoyed having you there, and especially Jared was under the weather, not able to come. But David Oblis, Charlene Dixon, uh, Jesse, all three of you guys who made the trip to Knoxville and really helped out, managing fight day and helping with some things like that. We appreciate the hard work that you guys put in while you were here, and enjoyed the time together.
Yeah, we really did. That was a lot of good fellowship, good talk, good conversation. Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed all that this year. It's a lot of fun for sure. That's gonna do it, folks. We're gonna sign off here. One more time, give us a subscribe, give us a like, and you'll get notifications whenever we post new content. We'll be back with interviews this week. You can check out Fights from Aries 12 on the channel, and we'll get this run going towards Aries 13 next week. For Jeff Hobbs, I'm Tim Lloyd signing out for another edition of the Zero Hour. Catch y'all next time.